Hello, welcome to Screen Talk with yours truly, Nomfanelo. So, with this video, I want to talk about the Fast and the Furious franchise. So, I've talked about previously my thoughts on the individual films under movies I love, which you could check out that playlist in the description. So basically, just to give a recap of my thoughts on the franchise, I find there are fun action movies. I liked with the beginning with from the first movie. It's all about streetcar racing. Get into that world with Dom and Co. But then clearly from Fast Six onwards, they became more spy films to go along with the Mission Impossible route. And honestly, it was fine at first with the sixth movie, which I believe, in my opinion, is the best movie. It's just as it went on, it just became repetitive and annoying. You just want to roll my eyes every time when they go deep into that. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the franchise. So the recent one came out, and I saw that during opening weekend, so that's Fast 10. Now, if you have not seen Fast 10, I will get into it, not in too deep, but I will mention spoilers. So, essentially, with my thoughts on Fast 10, I find it better than F9, which I believe is the worst movie of the franchise. But it's still, I would say, lower tier in terms of ranking of the franchise. Because I enjoy Jason Momoa as Dante, but I didn't like the fact that they had to connect him to Reyes from Fast Five. Because why not just make him to be a villain without any connection to the previous movies? It did not make sense for me. Because honestly, when they do stuff like this, I have to look at those movies from a different lens, having that in the back of my mind, which is so annoying. And I don't get why, like, because with Paul Walker, he passed away during production of Fury 7. Honestly, they should have retired his character after Fury 7, but yet he's still mentioned in the background, and I don't get because if you're going to still have him be part of his universe, it didn't make sense for him to be not shown given like the stakes involved with Fast 10. So again, I don't get why they're still bringing up Brian even though the actor is not alive, but whatever. And with John Cena, like it's with his character, he's more enjoyable here than with the last movie. And it's kind of sad that his they killed off his character, but hey, I guess it shows that yeah, that nobody is safe. But I will get into this film franchise's history with killing off characters as one of the issues with the franchise. So, yeah. So, with the franchise, clearly it is in a state of decline for a multitude of reasons. So, it's pretty clear for me that with this franchise, it does not have a clear direction. Because it seems like with each movie from Fast 8 onwards, they're kind of just making stuff up as they go. Because, for example, so with Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, she was the big bad in the eighth movie. And then, yeah, she's still a villain with F9, even though she was not the main villain for that movie. But then when we get to Fast 10, she's a good guy now because we see that she gets double crossed by Dante, like, and her team, and she's kind of forced to work with Letty and everyone to stay alive from Dante and Co. So when they do stuff like this, it just infuriates me, and because preferably would have been better if Dante was associated with Cypher where Cypher decides, you know what, I'll get Dante to go after the team since she essentially wants like global domination through her whole tech world and all that stuff. So that would have been a better alternative than having to connect him with Reyes and from F5. And yeah, because so Vin Diesel, he announced during the promo tour for this movie that F10 is a start of a trilogy, which I'm like, why? Because I don't know if it's official. Let me just go back because I don't know if it's official by the studio if this is going to be a trilogy because they're probably going to wait and see how this performs at the box office. But from a creative standpoint, it does not make sense for me to have a new trilogy because they should just end it after make Fast 11, and then that's it for the main franchise. Because what is there to tell for this new trilogy that's not going to stretch the story too thin? So after watching Fast 10, it kind of reminded me, like, with in terms of the direction, I'm going to compare it to Avengers with Infinity War and Endgame. Because with Infinity War, they had their big bad with Thanos. And essentially, that movie ended somber, like with some of the characters that either died or their fate is up in the air. And then with Endgame, it shows like the characters that's left, they try to come together to go after Thanos, essentially. So it seemed like with this movie is going in that direction based on what I could tell since it left with a cliffhanger ending and we did not see the characters die except for John Cena. But I will not be surprised if John Cena comes back. But yeah, we'll see. So honestly, like with Fast 11, it will be cool if let's say they get characters from the previous movies, like either like with the villains or with the heroes that have not been killed off, where they all reunite to go after Dante, and I'm sure there's gonna be a whole line like, "Oh, we're all family. You don't. If you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us." So I won't be surprised if it goes there. I would love it to go there, where like everyone reunite despite the differences to go after him, Dante. And so one of like my main issues with the franchise is the fact that they either bring characters that should not be there or they change their characters just for the sake of whatever narrative they want to go with. So for example, with the Shaw brothers, so Owen Shaw, he was the villain in the sixth movie, and then clearly we see him get defeated where he flies out of the plane, and then with the seventh movie, he's in the coma. Fine. And then, no surprise, with Jason Statham, that was teased. In the sixth movie, he goes after the team for revenge. And then, with the eighth movie came about, all of a sudden, they are the good guys this whole time because apparently Cypher hired them to do what they did, like with the sixth movie and so forth. So stuff like that infuriates me, and most notably with Han. So Klon was clearly the standout for Tokyo Drift, and then they decided to bring him back from 4 to 6, but with 4 to 6 is set before Tokyo Drift, which I don't get that choice. But then we see him die. They repeat that in the sixth movie, and then there's a funeral in the seventh movie, and then F9, they pretty much show that this whole thing, what happened with Tokyo Drift with his death, was staged by Mr. Nobody to, I guess, to protect a girl from something. I don't remember the plot for the ninth movie because, again, I didn't like that movie. So, yeah, like, I just hate. the franchise doing that stuff, so like stop it. No. And I think for me, what this franchise is missing is going back to basics. This movie started on the premise on focusing on illegal streetcar racing. Now all of a sudden, they're agents, doing missions, which honestly they will not qualify at all. Because if they wanted to go in that direction, they could have been informants than actual agents, but whatever. And also, too, this franchise, can we get rid of the agency? Because honestly, just so dumb. Because the fact that with this agency, they're supposed to be so secretive, but then Cypher was able to find them immediately without, what was it, God's Eye, whatever that device was hilarious. And then the fact too that with the guy that plays Reacher in the Reacher show, I'm blanking on his name. You know who you are. Where he's the bad guy this whole time working with Dante. So clearly shows that with this agency is in shambles. Because I'm wondering, like, how come with Little Nobody, played by Scott Eastwood, because it was set up that he's like the protege of Mr. Nobody, which was shown in the eighth movie. But then we see in the 10th movie he's there, but briefly, where he helps the team to disable the bomb, whatnot. But then he disappears for the rest of the movie because it would have made sense if he was in charge of the agency. But again, I don't understand these choices. So, but I would love to know, what are your thoughts on the Fast and Furious franchise? Does this franchise need repairs, or do you think it's fine the way it is? Let me know in the comments section. So you could find my socials in the description. And I want to say thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I will catch you on the next one.